Everybody always says follow your gut. Luckily, I've been able to make the right calls career-wise. Spears! I know for certain I am in the right spot in WWE and NXT.
So are you doing stuff behind the scenes?
Yeah, my responsibilities are more than just what you see on camera.
What went into the decision to leave AEW?
Personal want.
Why was your name Stan?
I meet Shawn and Hunter for the very first time. Shawn turns to me and he goes, "What's your name?" And I went, "Shawn." And he goes, "Stan."
There's a lot of times where fans want something to happen. You in the Royal Rumble was one of those.
It's a career highlight for me. I don't know if anything will top it.
Do you think about how much longer you can do this?
It ends for everybody, and I'm very confident to say that I will finish everything here.
How's dad life?
Dude, wild.
Isn't it the best?
There's nothing prepares you. I think we had this conversation a little bit before. Nothing prepares you, and then when there's another one,
yeah,
it's what you're about to find out about.
Yeah, you're in it right now with two.
I'm in it right now, and it's always the worry of how the first one, the older one's going to kind of adapt to a new one that's getting a little bit more attention because it's obviously a necessity. But when you see like the first kiss or the first hug, right now, Austin, he's very big about if Harley, my youngest, loses his binky, he grabs it, he puts it right back in his mouth, but he doesn't understand force yet. So smashes the poor kid in the face every time. I laugh because it's funny, but
you're teaching him to be a worker already.
It's the cutest thing. He knows suplex, he knows spear, and body slam.
Man.
So those are the three that he gets.
Is it tough? Because I don't know if people realize you're here at the PC all week, like a full-time job.
Mm-hmm. Time-wise, and it's a lot of it is on me because I still have Flatbacks with Breeze, so we still run that on a weekly basis. The schedule can be difficult, but that's why Cass is a trooper. She holds down the fort. We do have a nanny who's wonderful, and Austin is head over heels in love with her and him. We have a good team around us that helps maximize the time that we do get together and things like that. So it does get pretty hectic, but it's for the short term. I'd rather do this and grind it out now while they're young and while they don't understand. When I start leaving and he recognizes when I leave and he starts crying at the door, that's when I'm going to have to kind of start adjusting schedules and times a little bit.
That I fear that day.
It'll happen. And you have a little lady, so it's going to be, I know for me, it would hit, like, my boy's my boy, but if I had a little lady running around, I know it would break and melt my heart at the same time. So you're going to find out all about it. Let me know how it goes, man, because, because I'm pretty sure we'll both be, they're roughly the same age. So
they are just a few months apart.
I'll probably be crying at the same time you are.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. We've had like similar paths with fatherhood. It's just amazing how much it changes you. It's amazing how much it changes what's important to you and what your focus is. Mm-hmm. But do you also not find that it makes you so much more driven at what you're doing for work?
It makes me more aware. So I think we were kind of talking about this. Like, it makes me watch, my mouth a little bit more. It makes me a little more cautious about what I'm watching on TV a little bit more. A lot of times being busy and things like that, a lot of us that are on the move or a lot of us that have excess things going on, like other businesses or properties or other things like that, I'm on my phone a lot. I do a lot of that through that. So I have to be a little more aware that when he's in the room and he says, "Dad," I can hear him. I'm not lost in something else, or I'm not, like, my attention has to be divided at the right times. So it's made me a lot more self-aware. I've definitely, in an industry where you kind of have to put yourself first for an extended period of time in order to get to certain heights, I've been easily and very happily able to put myself, second, third, fourth, if need be, without any second thought. So yeah, it changes you in different ways. It doesn't change. I think, I've known you for a long time. You're a good human being. It doesn't change your perspective on how you operate in life or anything like that. It might make you more aware now because you have someone watching you at all times.
Yes. And so much of what I do for work is on my phone. And it's like, no, that needs to go away.
When they say "Dad," you go, "Yep, hey buddy," or "What do you need?" Or, if you see him coming out of the corner of your eye, it's,
"Hey honey, what do you need?"
The attention needs to be right there because at some point at a certain age, and you see the things online or you see the video and the clips where they're kind of warning you, "Hey, make time." At some point, the little one's going to realize, like, "Oh, now's not the time to bug Dad." And I don't ever want my kid feeling like I can't go to him right now. I don't ever want that ever.
Yeah.
So it's on us. It's on me to be aware.
You shared a quote on Instagram last week that was just so powerful to me. And it was talking about time is the only currency where you don't know what the balance is. Spend it wisely.
Yeah.
And that hit me in my core because so often we think, I'll just do that tomorrow. I'll get to that next week. I can do that at another time. You're right. You don't know how much you have left.
And I wish I knew who, again, I steal a lot of same thing. I see them like everybody else, but then they hit me in a certain way. And I just go, we've heard that for so long.
Yeah.
Oh, you never know. You never know. Tomorrow doesn't guarantee anything. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them because it could be the last. Like we hear things like that in so many different ways, but when they're said in a very specific way that you're able to kind of resonate with, it hits so much more differently. And I saw that and I just went, man, you're right. You don't know the balance. Time is always it is the ultimate currency. And if you don't have, that's why people will say, what's the most important thing? And a lot of people will say health. Well, yeah, because if you don't have health, then you can't make more money or you can't spend more time with your loved ones. If you have health, you can live longer. Time is the ultimate currency. But then you don't know the balance. You're like, oh, you don't know when it's going to run out.
Yeah.
And that is just, I smile about it, but it's also like, it's a powerful and nerve-wracking kind of thing. Perspective, right?
Yeah. You left WWE as Tye Dillinger.
I did.
You came back as Shawn Spears. What does that mean to you?
It means a good deal to me. Not to take anything away from the Tye Dillinger thing, only because the way I got the name Tye Dillinger was pretty special to me. So that it holds a special place in my heart. Dillinger, I don't know if I've ever explained this. Dillinger, I kind of came up with on my own based on John Dillinger, the famous bank robber from back in the day, just public enemy number one, but loved by the public and that kind of stuff. So I always have a fascination with things like that. And then Dusty Rhodes was the one who gave me the name Tye. So, that name will always kind of carry a special weight to it. But being away and going back to a name that I picked from a baby book way back when I was first starting out, and being able to kind of put some weight behind it a little bit in terms of what I was able to do with that over the course of X amount of years. When I came back to WWE, it was presented as an option, which I felt very, very grateful for. It was a conversation. It was like, how would you like to proceed? Do you want to go back here or do you want to kind of hang on to this? And I just said, let's hang on to this. Let's see what we can do coming back, a fresh start, fresh slate. Let's see what we can do. So it meant a lot that I had the option, and we're still building, baby. We're still building. We'll see.
Your return to WWE was a legitimate surprise. And that doesn't happen that often in this day and age of wrestling. First of all, how'd you keep it a secret?
You have the team around you. You know who the team is, and you keep your mouth shut, man. That is the only way to keep a secret nowadays. Keep your mouth shut. Just don't tell anybody. I think maybe I knew Matt Bloom, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. That was it. I'm guessing. I knew Shawn for sure, Bloom for sure.
You left Cassie out of that.
I didn't tell her for a little bit either. I kind of just, I don't tell anybody. I didn't tell my best friend. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell I didn't tell my sisters. I didn't tell my dad. I didn't tell anybody. Because in an excitement stage, or, some people that want you to see you do really well, get really excited for you. With excitement comes loose lips sometimes. And the same thing with someone who kind of wants to see you fail.
Yeah.
It's much easier to have loose lips. So I went the safe route by keeping my mouth shut. They kept me in a room the majority of the day. I didn't even tell Cody. I didn't tell him. He texted me. He's like, you back? Because, man, you work in silence. You know what I mean? But what he doesn't know is that's one of the things I learned from him is just keep things to yourself until they're, I'm the kind of guy, and a lot of guys, with my tenure, will say, I don't believe anything until it's happening in the moment or after it's already happened in this industry.
Did Cody tell you he was coming back?
I knew a lot of stuff. We'd had our conversations and things like that. I didn't know anything officially. He keeps a lot of things to the chest as well. Like I said, I learned that kind of from him. But I knew there was a change in his life for the better. So
when the lights went out, it could have been anybody.
Mhm.
And then we see the silhouette of you with the chair. Everybody instantly knew it was you.
Mhm.
And then we heard the 10 chants.
I think it still work. You think it can still work till today? It might still. I don't know. You just kind of get me to switch. Which I love it. I love it because it just tells me that at some point in my career, I did something that was able to allow people to connect with each other.
That audience remembers you.
And then that's a big thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's the thing about wrestling fans, man. They're so loyal. You know that. They could hate me one week and love me the next week, and it just goes back and forth. But at the end of the day, we've had this conversation before. They're so loyal. They're the most loyal fan base on this planet, in my opinion. And you know, like I think Bret Hart just came back last week in Calgary and stuff like that. But I think he said his famous line, "The best there is," and that the second he said "the best," everybody is already echoing, like they remember, which is, you know, if you're in this industry for an extended period of time, there's nothing more gratifying than them remembering you.
But I think there's this idea or this notion that's floated out there online that people only watch one show and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, they were familiar with your work in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, when they saw you with the chair, well, yeah. Like, clearly, when they saw you with the chair, oh, that's the chairman.
Mm-hmm.
That's Shawn Spears. Oh my gosh. But I remember him from NXT. The 10 thing, you know, I know who this person is. So even though it had been 5 years, 5 years? Yeah.
Yeah, I was there since the very beginning.
5 years. Even though it had been 5 years since you'd been in WWE, boom, instantly remembered you.
Right, and that's just a testament to try and, you know, stay current. It's an evolution of character. It's always trying to stay in the game, in an evolution of social media and professional wrestling as a whole. I did some independents, and there's, you know, even the independents are really hot right now. So people are starting to build a name for themselves on the independents in Japan. Like, so it's just a matter of paying attention to what's going on, trying to keep your thumb on the pulse of things as much as possible. But, you know, the ultimate goal is to get the eyes and ears of a big company. So, yeah, man, it's just, I'm just glad there was an evolution and that people stuck along for the ride.
So if you've been watching these interviews for any length of time, you know that I know a thing or two about a good plain t-shirt. They've kind of become like the uniform for these episodes. And I have now found what I think is the perfect t-shirt with Viori's Dream Knit collection. This is it right here. I'm rocking it right now. They're insanely comfortable and super versatile. So first of all, look at the stretch that we've got on this shirt, and the versatility is like you could wear this during an interview, and I frequently do. This is also something that I work out in all the time. This is called the Ponto Performance Tee. They've also got the Ponto Performance Joggers, which are equally as comfortable as the tees. Super soft, lightweight. I love that relaxed fit, and they've got the 4-way performance stretch. These are great pants for just lounging around the house, or these are actually my official travel pants. So if you ever see me at the airport or on a plane, you'll know exactly what I'm wearing. Viori is an investment in your happiness, and they're giving you 20% off your first purchase when you go to viori.com/CVV. Get yourself some of the most versatile and comfortable clothing on the planet by going to viori.com/CVV. Not only are you gonna get 20% off your first purchase, but they're also giving you free shipping with any order over $75. Right there at viori.com/CVV.
What went into the decision to leave AEW?
I think it just came down to a personal want in terms of wanting to contribute a little bit more, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. I had a wonderful time in AEW. I have had a great relationship with Tony Khan. You're never going to hear me say anything bad about that guy. Same thing with a lot of the EVPs, talent, everything. I had a wonderful time. I got to learn a lot about myself as a businessman, and a lot more of what not to do, and a little bit more so of it's okay to kind of put your foot down. It's okay to kind of have faith in what you're worth and faith in your ability and things like that. So it was a really good learning process in terms of being an individual man in a different company. But man, my time there was special. Getting to work with all the top guys based on a lot of storylines that I was in with Max and FTR and things like that. So a lot of things that I would have never gotten to do, I think, in my career.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate enough to do there.
Hey, you wrestled CM Punk.
If you blinked, you missed it. But luckily, we'd had a couple run-ins before. I think maybe an OVW, but that might have been it. So if you blinked and you have to go back and look that up, it might take up 10 seconds of your
It's
day.
an official match.
Start to finish might be 2 minutes. That's with entrances.
That's an official match.
It counts. It counts. Sorry, bud. It counts. But yeah, just fun stuff with Sting. You know what I mean? Jericho, like just fun, man. Just fun, let loose fun, which is what professional wrestling should be.
Was leaving AEW on your own terms similar to when you left WWE in 2019 on your own terms?
Yes, it was. I asked on both occasions. Again, it just felt like my time at those different time periods of my life. I had maximized my time in those certain situations. So I thought it was time for me to leave in 2019. I needed to grow as a performer and as a human being. I got to do that for 5 years with AEW. And again, I always kind of go with inklings, like these internal gut feelings. Everybody always says, follow your gut. And sometimes what I have learned from me personally is that I have confused those actual gut feelings with what I think is a gut feeling. So I made a lot of wrong decisions in my younger career or whatnot, or younger life. And as time has gone on, through learning, through ups and downs and bad calls, I've actually been able to go, oh, no, that's not the right feeling. I remember what that's like. This actually feels like the right call. So luckily, I've been able to make the right calls career-wise, but that is heavily based on the relationships that I've created throughout those years. No one gets anything done by themselves. Everybody needs kind of a helping hand, so to speak. And professionalism takes precedence. It will carry you further than you can possibly imagine. So that's what I tell a lot of young talents today. But leaving both companies at different time frames was a personal based decision, and it was one that was best selfishly for me at the time.
So you leave AEW, then how did the conversation start to come back to WWE?
I immediately reached out to Hunter and just said exactly, it was something, I paraphrased him, I can't remember exactly what I said. It's just like, look, I'm free. If there's interest, the ball's in your court kind of thing. And he just says, what do you want to do? I said, I want to contribute. And he said, okay, let me see what can happen. And then not long after that, I was in touch with here. And when this presented itself, the chance to come back here, I dove, hold on a second. So you're telling me I get to go back to a time frame, that was one of my favorites in my career. I get to be around a lot of the coaches that helped kind of build me up to this point. And I get to be under Shawn Michaels. I get to understand how he thinks. I get to work and see how he operates. And then I get to kind of pass that knowledge down to kids, and I get to pass that on to students at Flatbacks. And I get to be in my bed every night. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, I jumped all over it.
So are you doing stuff behind the scenes, not just what we see on NXT?
Yeah. My responsibilities are more than just what you see on camera.
It's great.
So I relish in that opportunity. I enjoy it. It's a learning curve. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But being on TV for as long as I have, and being able to multitask on live television with 15 things happening at once that you have to be aware of, I feel that has helped me behind the scenes, being able to adapt quickly. And the best thing is, I know what a lot of young talent are going through. So when they seize up, or they panic, or they have a great match and that excitement, and I know all of those feelings. So I'm able to kind of, when things go well, I'm able to kind of, hey man, enjoy this. Remember what this feels like. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be down points, and just remember, keep your eye on the prize. And then when things don't go well, or when things are really hard, or they're in a tough spot mentally, I'm able to really understand, because I've had a lot of down points too. If we're looking at it as in a totality type way, but I'm able to understand and put myself in those shoes, and I'm able to kind of guide in the right way.
What an endorsement for Flatbacks. If I'm someone who wants to train to be a wrestler, Why wouldn't I train with the guy who's in the PC, who's on NXT, who's doing it day in, day out?
It makes sense.
It makes too much sense.
It makes sense. Breeze also works here. He's affiliated with WWE still.
Yeah.
So you have two coaches that could, but.
And it's not like you show up on day one and you get 20 chops, okay? Let's just put that out there. I get asked about that every day.
I still hear about it a little bit every day. I had one student who's in my current class now say, hey, are we going to do the 20 chop day thing? I go, 20 chop day? What do you mean 20? And I was like, oh, you saw the video. And he goes, yeah. That's got to be up there.
Oh my gosh.
1.5?
That's just for the full video. But if we look at just the vertical, just the shorts or the TikTok or the reels, 50 million views maybe.
Oh, no way.
Oh, it's crazy.
So then, and this kid's young, so I know he's all over. I was like, well, there might be a chop day, but it depends because chop day is a special thing. It's not what everybody thinks it is. It's a team building kind of. There's a lot of lessons that go into those kind of days. But you were, you were the unicorn that day. You were a rare instance. But it lives, and it lives forever.
Forever. And I think after about chop maybe 5 or 6, my chest just went numb. So
That's the best part. You don't feel the rest.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I left there and it felt like I had the worst sunburn ever. Like it hurt to put clothes on. Mm-hmm. And you're like, just go grab some aloe vera. We're near Orlando. Yep. There's lots of sunburned tourists at Disney. Just go grab some aloe vera. You'll be fine.
Sprinkle it on. You'll be okay.
And you were right.
Yeah, sprinkle it on. I know. I'm one of the worst. Do we have time for a quick story? So NXT years ago, when I was here before, we did a tour in Australia, and this is when we had guys like we had an insane roster: Nakamura, Balor, Samoa Joe, and I believe it was a 6-man tag that night. Samoa Joe was on the opposing team, and I went to the beach that day in Australia, but I wasn't familiar with how strong the sun is. But it was a beautiful breeze, and it was cool, and I wasn't paying attention. I was talking to people on the phone, and da-da-da-da-da. I got cooked like you wouldn't believe. And I wasn't like lying in the sun. I was walking on the beach.
Yeah.
But I got so cooked from like here, like down. Half my body was white. The upper half was brutally red, like bad to the touch.
Like your pants.
I was just about to say it's a similar, maybe a little more burgundy, but like you touch me and I'd be like, don't. And I'm like, how am I? I'm a baby face. So I'm like, how am I going to fall? How am I going to bump tonight? And so Joe sees me immediately and he just starts laughing. And I'm like, shit. Because he does a certain spot where he chops you in the back and, and I'm like, here it comes. And we'd worked so many times before that I know this is coming. So I had to somehow mix it with some tanner and other stuff to kind of balance out the color because I looked ridiculous. And I wore trunks at the time. So I was like, this is going to be so bad. And sure enough, out there, time comes. I'm like, and he gave me his regular chop, no harder, no less than he did any other time before. You would have thought that give me a paddle board, just a rowing oar, and it just smacked me in the back. It felt like it was the worst feeling in the world. And after that, I went and found about as much aloe vera that I could possibly find. I'm pretty sure I took a bath in it and prayed for the best for the rest of the tour. But yeah, so overall, story time. But yeah, I know about aloe vera, buddy. I got your back.
When you mentioned Shawn Michaels, you've got a history there, or Stan has a history there.
I still hear about all that too. Yeah.
Why was your name Stan?
So when they pulled me aside for that, what was that? Cyber Sunday 2006. I had just gotten down to OVW and they needed a few extras. So they grabbed me, pulled me over, and this is where I meet Shawn and Hunter for the very first time. And they're doing DX and they're saying, okay, well, Shawn's talking with Hunter. He's like, maybe I'll talk to him really quick. And Shawn turns to me and he goes, what's your name? And this is off. We haven't began rolling yet, but we're going to roll live here at any minute. And I go, shit. My name was Shawn Spears at the time. And I went, Shawn? And he goes, Stan. I'll kick Stan. So he just said, your name is not Shawn. My name's Shawn. Your name is Stan. So he actually gave me the name. No one else did. He just went, I'll kick Stan. And I was like, this is the best. He's going to kick me? Like his kick? Yeah. Like just a kid in a candy store, but yeah, he gave me the name. So I don't know if anybody knew that, but it wasn't creative. It wasn't like someone on the writing team or anybody else. Shawn Michaels, you're at fault for Stan.
But Stan looked like he had a bit of a backstory because it wasn't just what's your name, Stan, kick. It was you move the mic, you address him, then it's the sweet chin music.
Sweet chin music, yes. Yeah.
We didn't tune the band up, so was it sweet chin music? It was coming from Shawn Michaels.
To me, it counts. It's the only super kick that works in the world. So
That's true.
it's the only one that works. Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty
I
awesome.
still get tagged in the videos. I still get.
Almost 20 years ago.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Certain things just in wrestling, man, certain things just carry. You see the clips. I follow the same kind of like accounts on whether it be Twitter or Instagram, just because nostalgic and all that kind of stuff. And if you're involved in them, it's even better. But
but nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
the time it flies by.
Yeah.
It flies by.
If you're wanting to burn some extra calories or sweat out some toxins from a particularly big evening of food and drinks and indulging, check out the infrared sauna blanket from Boncharge. I've been using this since last year, and I love how it raises your body temperature while you're just kind of sitting there relaxing, reading a book or watching TV. A session's usually 30 to 40-ish minutes, and you can burn up to 600 calories in one session. I was looking into getting a sauna because I knew of all the health benefits associated with it. And I knew it would complement the cold plunging really well. I do it every day, like I start the day with a cold plunge and then right into the sauna, so extreme cold, and then into the heat. Then I saw the cost of a sauna, and an infrared sauna blanket from Boncharge is a fraction of that price. And I think it might actually be better because you just kind of roll it out and crawl into it, kind of like a sleeping bag. It heats up in just a minute, and then you just let it do its thing. And I always feel so refreshed when I'm done with the infrared sauna blanket. Head to boncharge.com/CVV to check out the infrared sauna blanket and use my code CVV. You'll save 15% on it. They've got free lightning fast worldwide shipping, and you're covered with a 12-month warranty. So that's boncharge.com/CVV and the code CVV to save 15%.
What are you learning from working with Shawn Michaels now?
Long-term. So one of my favorite things about professional wrestling is long-term storytelling. If I'm able to I don't have to be able to follow along every single week. If I can, great. But if I'm able to go back and go, and connect dots, that's my favorite kind of like, I'm the same way in movies. If I piece it all together at the end, I go, whoa, I did not see that coming.
Yes.
So with him and his team here, there's a lot of thought and effort put into long-term storytelling. Not a lot of rushing of things and slow character development, or at least drawn out character decisions. The other thing that I enjoy is that there's a lot of freedom to let the audience kind of see for themselves. Let the audience make some decisions. It's okay if they start leaning one way, wonderful. If they start leaning the other way, wonderful. We're just going to kind of see what happens. So that's the beautiful thing about someone who has experience. Like in AEW, I had a lot of freedom. Anything that I ever said, whether it be live in front of the audience or backstage, I wrote myself. I said I didn't have to clear it with anybody. Here, there is still that freedom, but because I can't see as far down the line as Shawn Michaels can, you know what I mean, with all his level of accolades and everything else, I'll go, hey, what do you think of this? And he'll go, not bad. What do you think of this? And I go, come on. Like, but so I'm very envious of that mindset, but I'm able to, I'm not going to get it. I'm never going to get it. But if I can pull from those ideas or those experiences that he has had, then I can at least A, start to understand it, but B, more importantly, I can pass it to younger kids or younger talents, or I can apply it to an idea of kids at the school who come in and go, I want to wrestle for WWE. I want to work there. Okay, great. That's wonderful. Here's the ideas now, which will evolve in time.
Sure.
But here's the mindset. This is how, like, it's all just information that I can take in. I can try and apply to the best of my ability, but more importantly, I can pass it down the line.
Yeah.
So those are the biggest things I'm taking away from him.
At its core, it is amazing that you turned a botched chair shot into a gimmick. Think about that.
So I think, so Cody was an EVP at the time, and we went back and forth on it. I think we talked about this before on one of our last meetings.
Yeah. And he told you to swing for it.
He said, swing for the fences. I said, hands. He goes, no hands. I went, all right. And, I love that guy more than, he's the godfather to my sons. He's, we're And I think it was maybe a week after I was done feeling horrible about what had happened. I kind of texted him. I said, hey, man, I think we run this a little bit. Like chairs in wrestling have been around since the beginning of time. But how can we kind of spin it? How can we make it a little bit different? How can we add an element to my entrance? How can we add an element to the Danger as a character? How can we make something that's been around different or put a little spin on it, which is wrestling in general. So what if I just started calling myself the chairman? And he goes, love it. And that was it.
But then here we are now, and it's still part of your gimmick.
It's still part. We don't put a lot of emphasis on the chairman aspect of things. That's one of those things I think where let's wait and see. Let's see which way they tilt. If they just keep going with it, okay. But we're not going to actively push anything down the throat. That was the beautiful thing coming in here is just like, okay, here's the option for your name. What do you want to do? And look, we like the presentation that you had, which I came up with in AEW. Cody asked, hey, I think it was all out was our match. Because what do you want to do for an entrance? I go, man, just black out the house and put a spotlight on me and just sit me on a chair, nothing, and just wait. He goes, awesome. And that is stuck.
Yeah.
So being able to come over here and still use a lot of the ideas that I had originally for this new kind of Shawn Spears type thing, it still kind of works and it still carries. And now we're kind of digging deeper now and working with the creative team here to kind of find out more psychological aspects to this character, which have been like super fun. Because I love like the chicken shit heel stuff.
Yeah.
So this is a good little challenge to kind of, hey, let's see how we can kind of pull back on the elaborate, over the top, fun stuff. And let's see if we can kind of start pulling on different strings. And I love that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of times in wrestling where fans want something to happen. They're almost like fantasy booking it. And you in the Royal Rumble was one of those. Man, could you imagine if the perfect 10 comes out at number 10? But it'll never happen. And then number 10 comes around and your music hits and the place goes bananas.
Oh, you're talking about this? It's 2017.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were talking about recently, this past Rumble. I shot my shot. I was a little late.
Was that going to happen?
Yeah, no, it was too late.
Could you have come back at number 10?
I think it was too tight of a time frame.
Oh, man.
Once everything had to be settled and finalized, I think it was tight.
Could you imagine?
But again, that's, things evolve and, ideas are, I think it was a last minute thing. Obviously, Royal Rumble is a massive event every year for WWE. So I think I missed the boat. I shot it out there and they're just like, oh, things are done. Things are set. It's like, okay.
It was just down the street.
It was just down the street. I was just down the street. I was ready just in case. I had some stuff in the mix, worked out, made up, and just in case, always be ready. But so we never have to get ready.
When your music did hit in the Royal Rumble at number 10, and the crowd goes crazy, chanting 10, 10, 10. What was that moment like?
When people say like they don't have words, like it's like you could say, I'm not articulate enough to find probably the proper ones. I wish I was. But you almost can't. You can't hear your music. You almost can't hear people. It's almost like if you plugged your ears as tight as you possibly can and just took deep breaths. That's all you hear. I didn't hear a lot of the people. I didn't hear my music. I saw them, but it's almost like I went deaf. I couldn't hear anything. It's almost like someone plugged, and all I can hear myself breathing. I was sweating, but I was freezing cold, like shaking. Like if I wasn't in this as long as I had been, I might have been like, am I having a panic attack? Am I? And I very well could have been, but I've never felt more alive in that moment where every sense is firing or not working. But you're, if I can't hear anything, I see everything. And I'm like, oh, wow. And then you start running and then the sound starts coming back. And then you're like, okay. And then you're there. And then once you hit the ring, the instincts and everything just start kind of coming back.
Yeah.
But man, it's obviously a career highlight for me. I don't know if anything will top it. Just the way it came about and the way it was told to me. I think I told you before, the night before we did Takeover in San Antonio, and I'm literally outside of Gorilla ready to walk through, and Hunter sticks his head through and he goes, hey, kill it out there tonight. You're in the Rumble tomorrow. And tucked his head back and I went, what the? And then music. And I was, damn it. And like just a perfect storm of opportunity and hard work and then being received the way I was. It was a big thing. And then even coming back after 5 years, I was worried for a second that no one would kind of remember or, you're a little trepidatious about it, but good moments. And I hope I explained it, but I don't think I'll ever be able to actually explain
that was
it
perfect.
as best I could. But thank you. If you guys were there and you guys still talk about it, thank you.
I'm sure you know, and you probably hear it all the time, how much fans miss Cassie.
Yes, I do.
Does she miss wrestling as much as they miss her?
She does. She watches it a lot. She watches it more than I do. And that doesn't mean I don't watch wrestling. It just means I'm busy a lot.
You're watching it as it's happening.
I'm around. I can see a lot of stuff. She keeps up on it. She still loves watching a lot of her friends. And she's still getting the itch. So she's already weight training. She's doing all that kind of stuff. She's getting back into the mix and things like that. And when she feels 100% good to go, there's a ring close by. So she plans on getting back into it. She doesn't know to what capacity. Like she doesn't know, meaning there's no one said anything to her. No one said, hey, when you're ready, come on back. Like not Impact, not anything, but with the working relationship, who's to say that that's not a possibility? But she still misses it. I think she still has a little bit of an itch. We'll see.
Maybe you guys could do something together.
Oh, she'll make me look second rate. She's been doing it for years already. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if my ego can handle it.
You wore pink pants recently with your logo on the side. Is that a tribute to Bret Hart?
Well, anything I wear pink and black is a tribute to Bret Hart.
Okay.
Anybody who wears pink and black is probably a tribute. But that, and no one really wears pink. You'll see a lot of girls wear pink.
Yeah, Natty wears pink.
I
think she has every right to.
If anybody can and can get away with it, or call for everybody else to stop wearing pink, it's definitely Natty. FTR, obviously. Dax, a buddy of mine, is a big, huge Bret Hart fan. So we wore pink a few times together, working together over there. So, 100% it's a tribute.
Yeah, I saw that. And I'm
Canadian thing, man.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
You have to at some point.
Yeah, you and I grew up.
I look pretty in pink, man. I look pretty in pink.
You do.
You get a good tan, and you look extra tan in pink. See, it's all premeditated, partner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you and I grew up not that far from each other in Ontario, and it's like when you think of the Canadian wrestlers, Bret Hart's number one. And then everybody else after that. But Bret Hart's there. He's the guy. He's just so good.
That's it. He just, you gotta. Childhood heroes.
Yeah. Do you think about how much longer you can do this?
Sometimes, who was I telling? I was telling Tara, who's on the medical staff here, who's been here for well over a decade. She's a sweetheart. We were kind of sitting off to the side in the gym, and a lot of the young talent were, piecing things together. They were doing some workouts and stuff like that. And a lot of the young talent here are early 20s, mid 20s max. And I was just watching them all, and I looked at Tara and I said, what's crazy is that right now, not one of them is thinking that one day this will end. They're all in the midst of the love and the passion and the excitement for it, which is a beautiful place to be in. And it will still be like that, even if you're in it for a long time. I still have those things. But the reality of not being able to do this much longer, physically, actively in the ring, has crept up on me a lot more so in the last 4 or 5 years than it ever has before. So when I see young talent like not even being a thing and not thinking about that, it's just, you realize almost how fast time goes, and it puts it into perspective a little bit. I don't sit there and get kind of sad about it. I sit there and go, okay, well, let's kind of maximize that time. And I feel that way in any venture. Just nothing lasts forever. If you're lucky enough to be a part of it in some sort of way, that's why I kind of have other responsibilities other than just in the ring, because I'm excited about that. I love this shit. This is all I've ever wanted to do since I saw the Ultimate Warrior beat Honky Tonk Man in like 10 seconds or whatever it was, faster than Punk beat me. But I saw that, and I watched my two uncles jump to their feet and high five each other, and I was maybe 6 or 7. I just went, I want to make people do that too. I don't know. That's the only memory I have as the catalyst to what all this is. But There's nothing else I want to do. There's nothing else I hope to do. And because of all of this, I get to provide a wonderful life for my kids.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'll miss it. I know I'll miss it. But maximize the time, enjoy the time, whatever you have left.
The fact that you're even thinking like this, I think means you're already ahead of the curve, because there's a lot of your friends, your colleagues who wrestling just ends and they have no say in it. And it ends with them without them being ready for it to end. You even thinking about it, it feels like at least you're heading in the right direction.
It's also talking to the right people and people who have been doing this a long time. And I won't get into too many details, but another benefit I have had since being here is I'll talk to Shawn when I can. The guy is busier than he's a ninja. He gets a lot of things done, but you don't see him much because he's so busy. But there's been times where we've kind of caught each other in the right spot, the right time for 20, 30, 40 minutes sometimes. And I'll ask him certain questions about things that I worry about. Do you miss it, or do you think about it a lot, or and he gives me his perspective and his thoughts. And
does he miss it?
He could still do it. I think he could still, but he loves this. And that's the kind of thing that I get that, and I think he feels that from me as well. Like, we all love this stuff, but his thing is, at some point it does end. And at some point, you have to let it go. You have to let it go. A lot of people have a hard time letting it go, and that could lead to issues down the road later, whether it be psychologically, mental, financial, whatever the reason being, physical, especially physical. But, get yourself to a good headspace. Put your best foot forward. This is the way I interpret it. Just get yourself in the right headspace. Maximize your time. Enjoy your time. Like,
isn't that a Dusty thing? Maximize your minutes.
Maximize your minutes was a big, when that red light's on, that was a big thing. You still hear Cody say that every now and then. And, it is a big thing, but, put everything into this. Put everything into this. When I'm 70, hopefully I'm there at 70, but and I'm sitting on a porch and everything. It won't matter. I've said this to you before. It won't matter how big my house is, how much money's in the bank. You know what I mean? You're not going to see a U-Haul behind a hearse. All I'm going to be able to do is think.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I'll be able to do is think. And I probably won't be able to remember the first 15 years of my career. I might be able to remember, if I'm lucky, the last 3 or 4. How do I want to remember those? When my kid says, hey, Dad, I'm thinking about doing this, but I'm not sure. I want to be able to give them the right piece of advice. And then I want to be able to lead by example. Hey, son, I did this. Or you should do this because I bet on myself. Bet on yourself. Good, bad, or indifferent. Bet on yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just, a lot of it is perspective. A lot of it is thinking ahead. Doesn't mean it's going to be that easy. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have to, maybe I'll pick up softball or pick up basketball. I'll just have to pick up a hobby to fill some time, but it ends for everybody.
Sure feels like the bets you've made on yourself have paid off, and congrats on that.
Sometimes maybe I don't, maybe it's human nature to always wonder if you made certain right calls at certain things, as opposed to sitting back and going, I did okay. Some things I am I know for certain I am in the right spot right now with everything, and all the time has gone by and all the decisions that I have made. I can say wholeheartedly that I am in the right spot right now in WWE and NXT. And I'm very confident to say that I will retire and finish everything here. I don't want to go anywhere else. And that's not a shot to anybody else. It's just, I feel that everything that has happened in my career, everything's taken place in my life as a human, as a performer, it has all led to be in this exact spot, sitting with you right now, talking about how good things just happen to work out.
Life's good.
Life is good.
Congrats on everything, personally, professionally. I'm going to hit you with the same question I hit you with the end of the last interview, because gratitude's such a big part of my life. What are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for right now?
Gosh, I think I said what was before, my family.
It can be different.
I don't know it. I see a lot of my, just the way I'm a pretty simple guy. I'm not a man of change. A lot of what has got me into where I am today is a lot of just sticking to, I guess, what I believe. And I don't have a lot of wild theories. I don't have a lot of wild conspiracies. I made mistakes. I've done some good things, done some bad things. I think Anthony Hopkins said it once. He's like, I'm an old sinner. Done some good things, done some bad things. Like we all are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just always want to kind of hope that the good outweighs the bad. But yeah, I'm grateful for my family, grateful for the fact that I still get to be in this position, this industry. I still get to be a part of all this. I think overall, I am grateful for time. That is going to be a different one. I don't know when it's going to end, but I know that I'm enjoying the time that I have now.
That's right back to that quote.
It goes back to time, man. It goes back to time. Ultimate currency.
Yeah. Maybe there's one more match with Cody.
He hit a different level. He hit a different level. Right now we're kind of geared and focused on the CW launch and the CW debut in Chicago. But let me know. You'll probably see him again before I do. That's how busy we both kind of are. And if you do, float it in his ear a little bit. He knows where to find me. I'm not hard to find. I'm not hard to find at all. No chairs. I promise. No chairs. No chairs.
Good to see you, my friend.
Brother, always a pleasure.
I appreciate you, man.
Thanks, buddy.